Oh, sorry, it's loading. We are now recording.
All right, awesome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good evening and welcome to our annual Financial Literacy Bootcamp powered by new NABA SF partner, Effectus Group. My name is Shawnee Blevins, and I am the president of the National Association of Black Accountants Incorporated, San Francisco chapter. Founded in 1969, we are a membership association dedicated to bridging the opportunity gaps for Black professionals in the accounting, finance, and business-related professions. Now, decades of systematic racism created barriers which have historically blocked people of color from home ownership, job opportunities, quality education, and healthcare, all of which are interconnected to financial stability. You see, one must first understand the history in order to then break the cycle. And this evening, you will be equipped with the necessary knowledge to enable you to begin breaking said cycle and conquering those invisible barriers. Financial literacy equips us with the knowledge and skills to be able to make sound financial decisions, which will help us manage money more effectively. It includes the understanding of how money works, how money is made, spent, and saved, as well as how to effectively manage debt. As such, improved financial literacy contributes to improved financial well-being. Again, improved financial literacy contributes to improved financial well-being. When you become a member of NABA SF, we are not only concerned with making sure that your professional acumen is on point and your career is on track, but also ensuring that your bag has been secured and will be properly managed for sustainability and, more importantly, for growth. At this point, we would like to acknowledge our NABA family of partners which are present. We have with us Effectus Group, excuse me, Workday, Kaiser, Armanino, and Team EY, as well as our friends and family at Netflix. Netflix came in very, very deep, you guys. There are about 20 or 30 Netflix members here with us. So welcome, you guys. Thanks for joining us. We also have our friends and family from Haas School of Business, the 100 Black Men of the Bay Area, Working Solutions, and Zero. Welcome, all of you. And last but not least, our amazing NABA students representing San Francisco State University, Go Gators, UC Berkeley, UC San Francisco, and Cal State Hayward. Now, we started off with a few housekeeping items. I'll reiterate them now. The first is, please make sure to change your chat option using the drop-down feature in the chat window to select participants, attendees and panelists. That way everyone can chime in and we can all stay interconnected. The other thing is, when submitting questions, be sure to use the Q&A icon found at the very bottom of your screen. At this time, I would like to introduce you to Catherine Fortino, Chief People Operations Officer for Effectus Group. Catherine?
Thank you so much. We're so excited to be here today and to join you. And I know I speak for both Mike and I, and I'm going to just go ahead and give a quick introduction of myself, and then I'll hand it over to Mike. Just a quick background on me. I'm currently the Chief People Officer at Effectus Group. I went to the University of San Francisco and I majored in information systems with an emphasis in mathematics. I started my career at KPMG and I was in the IT audit practice and moved up in the ranks to director with my primary focus on security, privacy, and risk management. And then I spent some time at Deloitte in risk management and worked for a few other consulting firms, and then started my own firm prior to joining the Effectus Group in October of 2019. As the Chief People Operations Officer for the firm, I run the talent acquisition and HR functions, marketing and other operations for the firm, and help Mike with that. And one of the reasons I decided to join Effectus is Mike and I were at KPMG at the same time, but I didn't really know him. And I was reintroduced to him in 2019 by a mutual friend. I really liked Mike's vision and culture that he had built for the firm. When I first met him, the firm had been around for about 5 years. And being an entrepreneur at heart myself, and helping grow the KPMG risk practice over the 10 years that I was there, and then starting my own firm, I just felt that I could come in and help Mike with the needs in building the operations practice. And I just could tell Mike really cared about his employees. He's a very empathetic, and just knew that this was the right place. Just a little bit about the firm background. So Mike started the firm a little over 6 years ago. And we currently have 6 practices at the firm. We have the technical accounting life sciences practice. We have the technical accounting practice that we focus on the tech industry. We have our transaction advisory services practice, as well as our financial operations practice, which encompasses our managed accounting services, our systems and NetSuite practice, as well as our risk advisory SOX practice. And then as far as some things that we've been working on over the last couple of years is we're really working to build an inclusive environment. We've started the Women's Initiative, where we meet monthly to quarterly, depending on how busy we get, but it's very important to Mike to make sure that we have these initiatives in place. We've also launched our Diversity and Inclusion Committee and Initiative, and now we have our NABA partnership, which we're so excited to be a part of that, and we look forward to continuing this partnership with you and getting more involved in these types of events. And I'll hand it over to Mike.
Needed to find the unmute button there. Sorry about that. Thanks, Catherine, and thanks, Shawnee, for the introduction. Really appreciate it. So Catherine talked a little bit about this, but I started my career probably 15 years ago now at KPMG in the Bay Area in Silicon Valley, and did external auditing. So many folks probably are familiar with that, but audited a lot of technology companies and life science companies. Spent roughly 5 years or so doing that, and then went on a rotation to Sao Paulo, Brazil, and worked with one of our member firms for 1.5 years and continued doing audit work there. Eventually came back and transitioned into doing consulting work, and eventually founded Effectus Group. And really, it's probably for a lot of the same reasons why we're here today, to meet as a group and to discuss these topics. But financial literacy was really important to me. It still is very important to me. And it was important to be able to help clients understand their financial statements, their financial records, understand how to raise capital, how to improve their companies, and how to sort of see their companies through a different lens, in a different way that would really benefit them and benefit shareholders and benefit everybody involved, employees as well. The NABA partnership is we're honored to be a partner and really excited about the opportunity. And I'm really grateful for Andrea, who's also a consultant at Effectus Group, and for her, really facilitating the partnership and making the right introductions, and really appreciate the time she put into that. And she's just fantastic at Effectus, and does a great job. So Andrea, I really appreciate that. When I spoke with our team about, more about the partnership and more about NABA and more about the organization, really the motto stuck out to me, lifting as we climb. And I felt like as a firm, we really hold true to that. And we really feel that that's really important and part of our culture itself. And I felt like, everybody is sort of, everybody comes from a different place, but as an organization, we lift the organization together, and we're only as strong as we are in a combined organization, right? So if one person doesn't feel comfortable, then we're failing as an organization. So we really felt like that was important for us, and that aligned very well. Some of the other reasons that we were really attracted to the partnership and felt like it was just a fantastic fit in aligning with our organizational values. One was, the opportunity that NAVA gives students for college scholarships, we thought was amazing. And we thought that was just a fantastic part of the organization. We also were very interested in some of the accounting training events and knew that some of the experience that our team had would potentially come in handy and be useful for some of the training events. And we could share the experience that we've had working on large IPO transactions, SPAC transactions, M&A transactions. And for those that are either newer to accounting or trying to learn more, it might be useful in explaining what are the different opportunities that are out there and the types of projects to work on, types of companies to work with. And last but not least, really networking and job opportunities and trying to make the right introductions and trying to help people see kind of the broader vision of what the accounting world has for everybody, and trying to make sure that we facilitate the right introductions to help people along their professional career and their path, job path. Specifically, the Crawl Before You Ball event, and I thought the name was fantastic. I thought it was very innovative and very interesting, and love the name. It's very pertinent to what we're doing right now. With the global pandemic, there's been a lot of businesses that have really struggled. And I feel like those that maybe didn't have a strong enough understanding of financial information or financial literacy were really sort of blindsided by the entire pandemic. And some businesses were fortunate that they weren't as impacted. Others, weren't so lucky. But it really is the right topic for the right time, in my view. As a firm too, we're very focused on helping organizations make sense of their finance and accounting, and sort of that's the core of what we do and the services. And last but not least, we recognize that this event will really help the broader community, regardless of backgrounds, regardless of people's knowledge on the topic. But we're hoping that really it's a great event that people can learn a lot and really put this into practice in their own lives, and gain a lot of benefit from that. So really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I saw a few Effectus Group people as well as the participants, and thanks for joining, and really excited to hear what the group has to say. So really appreciate it. Shawnee, back to you.
Thank you, Catherine, and thank you, Mike. We are truly excited to be on this journey with you as we work to advance Black professionals in the accounting, finance, and other business-related fields. At this moment, let's take a brief peek at the agenda for the evening. So we've just wrapped up the Effectus Group announcement. We are now going to roll into an introduction of Holly, and then Holly will present. And following Holly's presentation, we will have a 10-minute Q&A. So again, be sure to use that Q&A feature throughout the presentation as questions come up, or if you'd like a little more clarity around something that was shared. And then we'll roll into closing remarks and announcements. All right, so at this time, I would like to hand it over to Jeffrey Rugley, our amazing Director of Student Development, as he introduces a woman that I am honored to call my soror, and our presenter for the evening, Holly Reed. Jeffrey?
Hi, everyone. Hope you all are having a good night. It's bringing great pleasure to introduce Holly Reed. Holly Reed is an award-winning author, speaker, certified education instructor, dedicated to helping adults and students audiences manage their finances. She has educated thousands of people through her book, Teach Your Child to Fish, and 5 Money Habits Every Child Should Master, and especially passionate about helping students prepare to become the next generation of millionaires. Holly's contagious energy, expertise connects with her audience by taking the intimidation out of the financial equation and by creating a fun and engaging learning experience. Holly loves to travel, but due to COVID, her favorite social distancing pastime has been on the golf course with her amazing husband, Gene. Please help me welcome to the virtual stage our guest presenter, but fellow NAVA family member, Mrs. Holly Reed.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you for that introduction. I'm excited to be here. And so I just want to kick it off. I want everybody to get their typing fingers ready, because my question to you is, when you hear the phrase crawl before you ball, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Go ahead and put it in the chat. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear crawl before you ball? Okay, Jessica is like, babies, basketball, save before you spend. Yes. Anybody else? Basketball. Okay, getting your priorities straight before balling out. Yes, Rosie. Yes. No financial worries. These are all great. But let me tell you, do you guys want to hear do you want to know what I think when I hear this phrase? I hear a life lesson. I hear a very simplified statement to address our consumer-centric buy now, pay later, you only live once, so be as reckless as you want to be culture, okay? And so I found a video on YouTube. It was produced by Cut, a group called Cut. And they do all of these kind of random interviews across the nation. And in this specific one, they asked 100 people to share how much debt they have. And I have about a 3-minute version of this video. So I want you guys to take a look at this video. We're going to dive right in. And as you're watching the video, feel free to put your thoughts or your initial reactions in the chat. Okay, you guys can do that. Let's do it.
How much debt do you have?
None to mine. Oh, debt. Yikes. Oh, no.
Do you have any debt?
Debt? Debt?
Debt?
Debt?
Debt.
2,000.
2,000 in debt just from credit cards. I was going on vacations like aggressively.
I got evicted.
It's all medical bills.
Medical bills?
Are you gonna pay them?
Yeah, I'm paying them off.
I got a few racks in debt.
In the 3,000 range.
4,000 or 4,000.
4 or 5.
5,000 maybe?
$5,000.
$6,000?
Speeding tickets.
Actually, not that much. 7 grand.
Does that affect your life?
No.
It's affecting me more now because I'm trying to buy a house and can't get approved.
How much debt do you have?
Tons.
Not much.
Close to 10,000.
11,000 for my student loan, and then $200 is on my credit card right now. Bought a piano on credit card too. I'm a bit reckless. Swipe. 12,000.
15,000.
$16,835.
18 maybe. But I have a plan.
20.
Student loans, I have like 12,000 and then $8,000 in credit card debt.
$2,000. I almost died from a cat bite, so I had to go to the ER 4 nights in a row. It's so much money. 30,000.
30,000. I had a repo, and then I went and got a new car.
Student loans.
35 grand in student debt.
35,000. IRS thinks I owe them about 36,000.
I get calls from collections agencies like once a day, but I kind of just ignore it.
I don't answer phone calls no more. If it's not in my phone, I'm not answering. I think I have about $45,000 worth of debt.
Not as much as I did. I just paid off like 45 grand.
How'd you come up with that?
A settlement. My back was broken by a semi-truck. Now I have less debt. Get hit by a semi-truck, guys.
50,000.
50,000.
$77,000.
Coming up on 80,000. Yeah. All in.
How did you earn that?
Not finishing college. Not even a degree attached to it.
$90,000 in debt. Decided to pay out of state tuition.
It was like 95, and now it's like 70.
How long are you gonna be paying off your student loan?
I mean, foreseeable future.
Sometimes I worry that I'm never gonna pay it off.
What's your plan to pay it off?
Marry rich.
Eating ramen.
When I was married, we had to declare bankruptcy, but
What was that experience?
humiliating.
We just had to file Chapter 13. It really drags you down. It's constantly on your mind, and most of the debt was medical debt.
What is your debt?
$130,000. All student debt.
How does your debt make you feel right now?
Feel like it was worth it.
felt it was worth it. Is it worth it? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, because Americans are in a debt crisis. Americans are in a debt crisis. We are bound in debt. And yes, some of it is when life happens. Oh my goodness. I just felt so bad when she said she got hit by a semi truck, right? So some of it is when life happens. Other of it, it's been drilled in our heads. We all know this. It's been drilled in our heads that higher education is the way to a better life, right? So we've been taught to take in all of this debt, right? And a lot of it could be based off of a lack of education, coupled with, like I mentioned earlier, the influence of our consumer-centric culture that really pushes us to just spoil ourselves, right? So here's the thing. No one is exempt from financial burden, okay? No one is exempt from financial burden. So whether it's life choices that you made, and maybe you had to hire a really big legal team to help you get out of some trouble, right? Or maybe it's, you were encouraged and pushed to pursue the highest levels of education that you could possibly achieve, and you attended Ivy League schools, and so it took you a little while to pay it off, right? Or whether it's you're just living a lavish lifestyle. You just couldn't wait to get that Bugatti. So as soon as you got a big check, somebody else, you accumulated all this debt, and your lavish lifestyle is what's causing you to be bound in debt. And then, of course, we know that it could just simply be you didn't know. Nobody told you. Listen, I feel you. We all have a story, okay? We all have a story. And I'm just reading the comments because I want to make sure that you guys can see the screen. So give me a 1 in the chat if you are still with me on the screen. All right, perfect. Okay, so, and then sometimes you didn't know, like I was saying, nobody told you. And so I can relate. I totally feel you. We all, everyone on here today, we all have a story, including myself. So growing up, my parents did what most parents do. They told me everything they knew about how to become successful. And listen, by the time I was 23, I had met the mark. I went to North Carolina A&T. I graduated with honors. I bought a house, and I was working for one of the top public accounting firms in the world. Y'all, I was the epitome of young and successful, okay? So much so that I was doing exactly what my America taught me to do. I was living above my means, not saving a dime, accumulating a bunch of debt. I'm talking credit cards, student loans, auto loans. I had a whole house. And then the dot-com bubble burst. The firm that I was working with at the time lost clients, and little Miss Epitome of young and successful lost her job. And I was devastated. I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared. I was hurt. I was humiliated. And it took everything I had to even share with my parents that I had just been laid off. And it was in that moment, in that conversation with my parents, more than anything else, I was ashamed for being so wasteful, for being so naive and unprepared for this. And I vowed I would never be in that situation again. All right. So that was my first taste of rock bottom, Tina. Aline, that was my first taste of hitting rock bottom. It was like starting all over again. I literally had to crawl. I had to learn to crawl before I could ball. Okay. But fast forward many years later, you guys are in great hands, because after that experience, I became very intentional about learning everything I could about money while making better money choices and using that money to eventually claw my way out of over $30,000 in debt. And so for the past decade, I have been committed to sharing my expertise with adult and student audiences to help them find money, make money, keep more of their money, and doing so really laying that foundation and helping people understand that money management is a life skill. It is absolutely a life skill. And we as Americans do a very poor job of sharing this information, teaching this information at younger ages before people start making a whole lot of money decisions, okay? And so that's what we're gonna focus on today. We're gonna focus on 4 smart money moves to learn, so you guys can learn how to crawl before you ball, position yourself to ball on out. So if you're with me, put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat because we're gonna jump right in. Excellent, everybody's with me. All right, so our first money habit, our first money move, our first money move. Can you guys guess what it is? Can you guys guess what it is? We're gonna sidestep this debt. We're gonna give debt the stiff arm. Do I have any Tennessee Titan fans in the building? Have you guys ever seen any clips of Derrick Henry? He plays for the Tennessee Titans. He is a beast. You guys should just Google and look him up. But we're gonna do like Derrick Henry does, and we're gonna give people the stiff arm. We're gonna give this debt the Heisman, the cold shoulder, all right? And so the very first way we're gonna do that is first, I wanna talk to my students, right? So for many of us, our debt journey likely started with student loans. So listen, the average college student will graduate with about $40,000 in student loan debt. And get this, it doesn't stop there. They also graduate with an average of $4,000 in credit card debt. All right. So I know we have some college students on the call. I want you guys to go ahead and rep your school in the chat. Go ahead and rep your school in the chat. Who am I talking to? What NAVA college students do we have? All right. I see UC Berkeley, UPenn, Clark Atlanta. All right. Who else? It's going so fast. Okay, Santa Clara University. Wonderful. I'm glad you guys are here because now is the time where it's really important for you to understand what debt is really costing you, what taking out all of the student loans is really costing you. Now, trust me, I know many of us would not have been able to graduate from colleges or universities without some student loans. So I get it. But you have to know because knowing is going to put you in a position of power. So let's talk about it. What does debt really cost us? What are the consequences? What are you giving up that you don't even know just because you don't know? You don't know what you're giving up. So the very first thing that you could be giving up is 5 extra years to home ownership. Because you're paying student loans, when you graduate and that 6-month deferment period passes by, Navient, Sallie Mae, they're going to start wanting their student loan payments, right? And they could be anywhere from $300, $400, $500 upwards, depending on how much you end up borrowing. And so if you're paying that money to Navient, then that's 5 extra years that you may have to wait in order to actually get enough money to put a down payment on a house, right? Or because you're paying money, you're paying your student loan payments, that could cost you $500,000 in lost retirement savings, all right? That's the power of compound interest. If you guys don't have the money now to put into a 401k and to put into your IRAs, then these are things that it's going to cost you. There's a price to pay. And then trust me, when you guys graduate and start working, you're going to want nice things. You are. You're going to be working hard for these accounting firms. You're going to be working hard for these big corporations. And you're going to say, I deserve nice things. And guess what? You do deserve nice things. But because you're paying on those student loans, you're not going to be able to get the luxury car. You're not going to be able to go to Coachella when the world opens back up because you're going to be strapped for cash, right? Either you're going to do it and accumulate more debt, or you're not going to do it and have to sit it out for a while, right? All right, so this is what debt is really costing us. Now, for my professionals, we started with student loan debts, but then we add on a house, or we add on an auto loan, or we add on personal loans. And things can just start accumulating over time as we're living life. And so then debt brings us a sense of overwhelm. It can make us anxious, frustrated, stressed, you feeling stuck, or unfortunately, some people do reach the point where they're on the other end of the spectrum where they just feel complacent, meaning you just accepted that debt is a way of life. And because you feel stuck, you don't prioritize your payments, you don't have a sense of urgency to pay them off. And listen, with us being in the midst of this pandemic, we have enough stressors, whether it's from virtual learning, managing a virtual team or work environment, being diligent just to make sure we are safe and our families are safe and protected. It can be a lot. And unfortunately, it is so commonplace. Debt has become so commonplace that it's just normal. People think it's just normal to have thousands and thousands of dollars of debt in your name. But let me tell you, it may be normal, but it's anything but healthy. And so ignoring it, pushing it off to the side, not making it a priority is not going to make it go away. You have to deal with it. And so my desire is that us talking about it today is going to prompt you into action. All right. It's going to prompt you into action. So where do we begin? Where do we begin? First, you got to know your numbers. Professionals, you got to know your numbers. Take stock of all your debts. Create a list of everyone you know. And then go and pull your credit report. Go and pull freecreditreport.com. And just to make sure that you've captured everything, that there's not some debt that you forgot about or purposely forgot about. Oh, I forgot all about that rooms to go credit card balance that I never paid. So pull your credit report and just see who is it? Who are all the people that you owe, right? And so by doing this, it's going to position you, it's going to place you in a posture of power. And that's what this is all about. You have to know where you are now in order to plan and prepare for where you all are going. So tell me in the chat. So when you want to lose weight, what's the first thing you need to know? If you're trying to lose weight, what's the first thing you need to know? You got to know your starting weight. What's your current weight? Absolutely. If you are trying to reach a destination, you're using your GPS, you got to know what? You got to know your starting point in order to reach that final destination. Or listen, if you guys are preparing to pass that CPA exam, if you are pushing and preparing towards a certification, you need to take an assessment of where you are to know what you really need to focus on so you can reach the goal, right? So that's what knowing your numbers is all about. You have to know where you are, who you owe, how much you owe, what's the interest rate, all those things, okay? And so for my college students, how this applies to you, you have to know how much it costs to attend San Francisco State. How much does it cost to attend San Jose State? How much does it cost to attend UC Berkeley or UC Davis? Do you guys know? Do you know how much it costs? Literally, do y'all know? Because I didn't know. When I was in college, I just knew the adults were taking care of that, right? Or my student loans, it was taking care of that. You guys have to know how much it is costing you to attend these colleges and universities. And so then once you know how much it's costing you, then it's your job to find the money. Do you hear me? It is your job to find the money. You want to reduce your overall student loan bill, give yourself a financial head start, you got to find the money. And so we're going to begin first with the free application for federal student aid. It is your friend. You should apply for it every year, right? And so it's not just about, the FAFSA form, you need to fill it out every year. And so it can help you find free money. It can help you find these scholarships and grants. There are also so many different independent sites that offer scholarships, free money, right? If you are in a military family, there is military funding. So if you have a parent who is a military veteran, they have unused post 9/11 GI Bill education benefits that they may be able to transfer to you, right? So you want to make sure you look into that. A lot of days when I'm talking to student audiences, many of you guys are not only full-time students, you're also out there working part-time. So there are a lot of companies like Verizon, like Starbucks, like AT&T, like Amazon that will offer tuition reimbursement even if you are working with them part-time. So take a look at these opportunities out there. And I actually have something special for you guys at the end. So I have pulled together a list of resources like scholarship sites, different grants, things that you guys can go check out to go find this money to lower and decrease your overall bill. And then thank you, Jeffrey, for posting the NABA scholarship. Yes, it is so worthy. Write those essays, tell your story, be creative, go get the money. That's your job, all right? And then back to my adults, we want you to prioritize your debt payoff, okay? Prioritize your debt payoff. And here is why. You want your debt to be as low as possible so that you can remain financially flexible, right? So you can take care of any emergencies that come up. So you can really make your future goals come true. When you struggle to make monthly payments, if you're probably hitting your capacity for debt. And so we all know that when that check engine light comes on in the car, we need to check it out, right? We don't need to keep driving at 50 miles, 100 miles. No, we need to pull over, park it, let an expert take a look. And so I just want to offer you guys a few check light questions for you, right? So just answer these for yourself and see if you may be carrying too much debt. All right. So the first one is you're living paycheck to paycheck, right? I'm gonna go through these pretty quickly. Or you rely on your credit cards to make simple purchases. And when I say simple purchases, what I mean is everyday purchases. You're using your credit card to buy groceries, not for points, not for rewards, but because you don't have the cash. That's why you're using the credit card. So if you're using your credit card to, to make these everyday purchases, you may be carrying too much debt. Or if your debt balance stays pretty much the same, even though you're making regular payments. So you might be making regular payments. I say you're making the minimum payment, but then you're going back out and spending twice or triple that amount before the next statement comes. You're never going to find yourself getting ahead, okay? And so here's some other checkpoints for you. If you don't have an emergency fund or a life happens fund, because it will happen. So you have to be prepared for it. If this is an area in your finances where you know you are lacking, I just want to raise your awareness to start taking care of some of these things, start making it a priority. If your debt exceeds more than 40% of your gross income, monthly income, then you may be in a situation where you're taking on too much debt. Or if you find yourself unable to contribute to a retirement account, again, if any of these things sound like you, it may be time to make a few changes, all right? It's time to start reducing your debts and to make it a top priority. Because listen, life is both too short and it's too long to live with crippling debt. And I'm not talking about the debt that's making you money. I'm not talking about the debt that's helping you build wealth. I'm talking about the consumer debt that has you bound, that has you not being able to take care of these basics and to create this solid financial foundation for you. All right. So during this time, we need to be even more diligent in making sure that we are prioritizing your debt. And so the way you're going to do that, now that you've listed everything, you're going to call your lenders and ask for help. Ask for help. We got to put that pride, that ego, that shame, that guilt, put it aside. Listen, asking for help, it is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength. So it is you taking control of your financial future by tackling this head on. And so with COVID and the pandemic, people know, it's well known that people are struggling. So a lot of places have policies and programs already in place where all you have to do is make the phone call and say, hey, I need a little help. I need a little wiggle room here. This is what I can do. And you just call, make the call and see, and tell me what happens. Email me and tell me if you call and let me know what happens. So you can also just call and ask for a lower interest rate, right? That will help with the payments. So call, ask for a lower interest rate, and then start your debt pay down. All right. So no matter whether you want to do the snowball method, the avalanche method, whatever method you want to choose, you choose one, but you start making debt a priority. All right. Are you guys with me? If so, give me a 2 in the chat if you're with me. Excellent. Wonderful. Now, last year this time, we saw over 700,000 people lose their jobs in 1 month, in the course of 1 month, right? So last March, and a lot of this, this was when the pandemic hit, and no one knew it would last this long. And so since that time, since this month last year, there have been so many other industries who have experienced layoffs just because their revenues were hit so hard, or maybe they had a workforce issue where, people in their workforce were negatively impacted by COVID-19. And so it put us in this cycle. Where people were laid off, they were unemployed, or even underemployed because they couldn't find something that matched their skill set. Now you couple job loss with an America where people are already struggling to cover a $400 emergency expense, and that is ripe for disaster. That is right ground for a big mess, okay? And so no matter what your politics are, the government finally got some stuff together and started offering some relief, right? So we saw the stimulus check, we saw unexpanded unemployment benefits, all of these things to kind of financially help keep us afloat while we were all trying to figure it out. But here's the thing about these relief efforts. Here's the thing about these stimulus checks. Listen, they are temporary. And so we can't sit around and rely on a government to help us out. They don't have a great track record of doing so, okay? Especially for people of color. So listen, we've got to take matters into our own hands. And so while number 1 was sidestepping your debt, number 2 is we got to go out here and secure the bag, all right? Secure the bag. And the good news is companies are hiring. Can somebody say hashtag promotions in a pandemic? Okay, hashtag paid internship in a pandemic. Yes, it is possible. It is possible. We just have to start using our network. Get on LinkedIn and start tapping into organizations and companies. Connect with NABA. NABA has been an awesome resource during this time. Our NABA National Spectrum Live webinars and events, just earlier this week, they wrapped up this whole career coaching, executive coaching series, which was phenomenal. So we've got to start tapping into the things that we can do to help ourselves, right? So it's really important. Students, young professionals, old professionals, whoever you are, you got to start taking ownership of your career. If you're in the mid-level of your career, you have likely mastered the technical aspects of your career. And listen, we don't want your career to plateau just because it's the pandemic. No, now might be the time to pivot to avoid being trapped in a series of lateral moves. Okay. So just think about it. Take a look. Take a look. Take the blinders off. I know it took us a while to get comfortable working from home, but now take those blinders off and see what's out there. Because I believe there are so many opportunities. I've seen too much good news on my timelines to know that this is the truth. Okay. So that's number one part of securing the bag. The other part of securing the bag is we need to activate a plan B. All right. If this pandemic hasn't taught us anything else, it has taught us the importance of having multiple streams of income. Okay. Multiple streams of income. Now that we have less time commuting, if you're still working from home, right? It's time to jumpstart those creative juices. Stop Netflixing these days away. Stop watching Netflix for all the good things, right? You can watch Netflix, but use Netflix as a creative juice, as something to spark your creativity, right? As something to give you some great ideas. So you know what I mean? We are all a multi-talented people. So let's start tapping into those superpowers, okay? Those special skills, those talents, those abilities that I know we all have. Tap into the things that you enjoy. Because when you take a step back from a financial education, from a wealth building standpoint, when you take a step back and look at people who are high income or they have a high net worth, many of them have several different streams of income, right? And you know who does it really well? This group of people does it really well. Athletes do it really well, right? They know that some point in their future, their bodies will no longer perform at the same level, and then they're going to be forced to find some career, right? So do you guys have who are some athletes that kind of come to mind for you that have done this very well? Do you guys have any thoughts on that? So LeBron, Shaq, oh yes, Shaq. That's exactly who I had in mind. Shaq has been a great example of an athlete who has taken his talents and done so much more with it, right? He's an actor. I see him all the time doing endorsements for all of these products and services and insurance and car insurance. And does he care that he looks crazy driving next to that cartoon figure? No, he does not. He is getting paid. He is a sports analysis, right? Or analyst. He is an entrepreneur. He has stacked up, he has invested and opened up so many franchises between Krispy Kreme, Papa John's, the pretzel company. He has really done a phenomenal job. And so we need to take a page out of this book. This is not just for the athletes with all the celebrity, because we know they have mad connections. Celebrities have mad connections. But I want to show you a story about two sisters, right? This is Jackie Wright and Nikki Howard. They are two sisters based in the Maryland, DC area. And before the pandemic, maybe a year or so before the pandemic, the federal government did a temporary shutdown, and they furloughed several of their employees, right? And so these sisters needed to bring in some money. They had to pay their bills. And so one of them was really good at making cheesecakes. And so they started the Furlough Cheesecake Sisters is the name of their company, believe it or not. And they got so much attention from the cheesecakes because one, it was a great product, right? So people hear about it, and people just started coming to to help them, to support them, to push them forward, right? Lifting them so that they could climb this entrepreneur ladder even further. And so they did the cheesecake thing. The government brought people back to work. They went back to work, but it didn't last because these sisters became so successful with their cheesecake company that they started when they were furloughed from their government jobs. Ellen DeGeneres, they were on the Ellen DeGeneres show. Walmart started putting them on their shelves. And then last year, July 30th, 2020, on National Cheesecake Day, during the pandemic, y'all hear me, they opened their very first retail space in the National Harbor up in Maryland. So they have an awesome story, and I love sharing it. But I love sharing it because I hope it inspires you, right? I hope it inspires you to activate your plan B. You can offer a service. You can create a product. You can start a passion project. Listen, my book, Teach Your Child to Fish, 5 Money Habits Every Child Should Master, that was from a pure passion project. Once I clawed my way out of debt, I wanted everyone I knew, everyone I didn't know, to understand and experience what it felt like to be on the other side of credit card debt, right? And so I'm trying to solution it out and trying to figure out, who do I want to talk to? And I said, you know what? I wasn't taught this as a kid. Yes, my dad gave me generic financial advice. Holly, don't spend all your money. Holly, you need to save some of your money. But no one ever stopped me, took me to the side to show me how to do it. And so that makes all the difference. And so that book was written to parents about what they should be teaching their kids before they leave the nest. All right. So start a passion project. So I want to hear, as I've been talking, as I've been sharing, as I have these things listed on the slide, does it stir up any ideas for you? What is it for you? If you want, share it in the chat so we can ping you and support you. If you started if you've already activated your plan B, put it in the chat. Why not? Let's lift each other up. Yes, Pound Business. Yes. I love it. So, all right. So that wraps up Money Move number 2. We are going to Money Move number 3, which is all about stacking your cash. All right. Stacking your cash. Stack your paper. This might be the most difficult money habit because it requires discipline. It requires self-control. And when you tack on peer pressure, temptation, convenience, the fact that we can literally hit one button on our phone and the package may be there the next day, this microwave society, it can be really hard to hold on to our money. And when you are learning how to crawl, you have to really treat your savings as a bill. Treat saving money like it's a bill. That means set it up like an automatic something that happens, like an automated bill. Every paycheck, every time money comes in, a certain amount of money should go to your savings account. You can outsource it. You can outsource this. It's easy. There's so many apps like Q Capital. It's just it's like capital with a Q instead of a C. These are apps that help you and encourage you to save your money. But we know the goal is anywhere you want to save anywhere between 15 to 20% of your income. But if that's too tight right now, start with 5%. Start with $20. The point is just start. start, and put it in a separate savings account. Here's why. I heard so many horror stories again at the beginning of the pandemic, where college students were stuck on campus or stuck out of state because they didn't have the money, or their families didn't have the money to get them home quickly to be safe, right? Or now, even in the midst of the pandemic, I'm hearing such a need for food pantries on college campuses, right? So did anybody experience that? Any of our college students online on joining us today experience any of that? It's just highlighting how important saving money can be. And so here are some steps that I want you guys to consider when you're stacking your cash. Now, students, we know you're getting loans, right? Many of you are relying on student loans. And then at the beginning of the semester or the beginning of the quarter, you get these fat student loan refund checks. I know. The administrators on campus tell me they know as soon as the refund checks hit, because all of these Amazon boxes start showing up at the dormitories or at the student housing sites, right? I mean, I've read so many stories about people or students who use the money to go ball out, right? Go live this lavish lifestyle. And so that is going to come back to haunt you, my friend, because it is not free money. You have to pay it back. And so I want you just take that into consideration. So my best advice is if you receive a student loan refund, go ahead and deposit that in the bank. Excuse me. My best advice is to go ahead and give it back. So then that's less money that you have to pay back to your student loan provider, right? My second best piece of advice is to put it in a savings account. Let it earn some interest, because you might not know, things may pop up, educational expenses, maybe you need to buy some materials for a research project. Things may pop up, right? Where you actually need that money for real educational expenses or living expenses, right? And so I say stack it in a savings account, high yield interest account, money market account, where you can start earning some interest. But then once that semester is over, once that quarter is over, take the rest and put it in, pay it off, give it back to your student loan provider. That's my best advice. Now, we also know tax season is upon us, and they just announced yesterday that the deadline has been extended to May, but that doesn't mean you wait. You can still file your taxes. And when you get those refunds, if you don't have that emergency fund that I mentioned earlier, if you don't have that life happens fund, consider taking a portion of that and stacking it away so that you have something to fall back on in case of the unknown. You can also use it to pay off some of your debt, right? To break that habit of using your credit card for everything. All right. So that's one way. Another way that you guys can start stacking your cash. All right. So the next way is consider plugging your spending leaks. All right. I want you guys to plug your spending leaks. And when I talk about spending leaks are basically that money that just disappears without your knowledge. You don't know where the money went. Okay. And there are kind of two kinds. So the first kind would be maybe you take $100 out of an ATM. I'm calling you out, Chica. You take $100 out of the ATM on Friday, and by Sunday night, the money is gone. And you don't know where, you can't recall, how did I spend this money so fast? Hopefully that's not happening too much with the pandemic, but it could be, right? The other kind of spending leak is where you might just be spending or overspending in a particular area, like a particular category in your budget that's totally not necessary. So I've listed some of the big categories here: takeout, food, eating out all the time. That is a huge one. Subscription fees, we know that's a big one. Bank fees or ATM fees, that's another big one, right? And so we have got to hold on to this money. Do you hear me? We've got to hold on to this money. So we're going to do a little activity, okay? We're going to do an activity. And so I want you guys to get your typing fingers ready. So I'm going to call out a common spending leak. And then in the chat, you tell me how you can plug them, how you can plug up the spending leak, how you can prevent or avoid the spending leak, okay? So here's the first one: coffee and coffee drinks. Me personally, I have a daily coffee habit. I actually have a slight tinge of a headache as we speak because I chose not to drink coffee. At least that's what I think it is. I think it's the caffeine, like, hey, you forgot about me today. So somebody tell me how you can plug this habit. Yes, Otis, perfect. You make coffee at home. Take it to work. Yes, Chica has a French press at home. You fancy, Chica. Yes, remove the app from your phone. Oh, yes, absolutely. Go instant. Shani, now, I don't know about this instant coffee you talking about. But if you are just a regular coffee drinker, instant may do the trick. Very good. Okay, So coffee drinks. Perfect. You guys, that is exactly what I wanted to hear. The next example is Amazon. We know Amazon has these Prime days every year. They are tempting us, showing us all the goods. You got to come every single day because different products are going to be offered. How do you prevent or avoid this spending leak? Tell me how. Delete that Amazon app. Yes, Portia, that is one way. Anybody else? Only buy if you were in the market for it anyways. Yes, absolutely. Turn off the notifications. Yes. You know what really gets us with the Amazon is the fact that we can press that buy now button. So how about remove your credit card, remove that payment option out of your account. And then if you really want to buy something, now you got to go get your wallet, get your purse, type in all 185 numbers, right? So that is another way to kind of close or prevent this gap. All right, here's another one. Name brand prescriptions. This can be a spending leak, believe it or not. Somebody tell me how you can prevent or avoid this one. Go generic. Costco. Absolutely. Y'all are so smart. See, let me tell you, you guys already know what to do. Guess what? Now you just need to do it. There are go generic. Absolutely. That is the main key. Ask for the generic brand of the drug because the active ingredients are actually the same. I know there's my sister has actually used Good RX. Yes, thank you, Aaron. I was just about to say that you can get, if you have something that you're taking on a regular basis or recurring basis, go ahead and get that 90-day prescription. That can save you money over the long run. But yes, these are all excellent ideas and ways that you guys can start plugging those spending leaks. But listen, that doesn't mean now you take it and go buy something else. No, the point is stack your cash. All right, stack your cash. And so we talked about banking those refunds and income tax, right? We talked about plugging the spending leaks. Now you can save and then invest. Now you can invest. I know people are like, ooh, when can I invest? After you save, you got to save first. So once that box is checked off where you have, I would say at least $1,000, $2,000, because, and the reason I give that number, if you think about it, most emergencies, it'll cost you about $1,000 or less. Flat tire, a last minute plane ticket to go be with a loved one. You just think about emergencies that might happen. Your windshield gets cracked by a rock on the road, right? Those are things that $1,000 can just make it an inconvenience, and then you can move on with your day. Now, the biggest mistake that I see when it comes to investing is that people want to jump into things that they don't know, things that they don't understand, right? Especially our young people. I'm talking to you, my college students. Trust me, I love the fact that Robinhood, that Acorns, that there are so many apps now that make investing accessible, right? Without having to put down $500 or $1,000 to open up a brokerage account. I love that fact. If you have something to save, I say go for it. Start learning and taking small steps, but don't get over your head, right? We've seen in the news some tragic news of a young guy who committed suicide and took his life because he thought in his Robinhood app that he owed all of this money. And so we never want to see you guys in that kind of position. But what you can do, you guys can start talking to and learning from financial planners, financial advisors. There are so many I know in NABA that I know would not mind giving you guys a crash course on investing. I know that for a fact. I can call on some of them right now. They could give you a crash course on investing. But if you have a 401k for my professionals, I don't care how much debt you have, you need to get that free money. If your company has a 401k with a match, absolutely contribute enough to get the free money. one of the things that our young professionals and our young college students, one of the advantages that you guys have over me and some other people on the call is time. You guys are young, and compound interest is your friend. Compound interest, let it do its work, right? We are so busy chasing the next thing, chasing cryptocurrency without understanding how it all works, how you're going to get paid, what are the tax implications on the other side of that. So I'm old school, so I'm conservative. So I'm going to give you my conservative recommendation and start looking and investing in things that you can buy and hold, buy and grow with, right? And work with a financial advisor to really put you on a path to become future millionaires. Anybody in their teens and their 20s and their 30s, we all have the capacity at this point to become future millionaires, but our young people, you guys can do it far faster than any of us could, any of our parents could, just because of the access, just because of the platforms and things that are now available. So I say go with it. All right. And so as I look towards our fourth money move, it was really inspired by this Greek proverb that says, a society grows great when old men plant trees in whose shade they know they shall never sit. All right. And so this takes us to that fourth money move this evening. And that's that I want you guys to start creating the shade. I want you guys to create the shade. You don't have to wait until you're an old man to start creating the shade. You can start creating the shade now. And what that looks like, that means be generous, right? Teach everything you know. That's one of my values. I'm going to teach you everything I know so that you can avoid some of the pitfalls, some of the mistakes that I made, because you don't need to make those again. Share your time, share your talent, share your treasures, okay? But be generous and help others come along, following along in NABA's motto, lifting as we climb. Then I want you to find or create a place to serve, all right? Find or create a place to serve. There is no lack. There's so much going on in this world that you can find a place that is tied to your values, that aligns with your interests, where you can serve, okay? And then consider participating in collective economics, all right? And the reason I say this is what's going to push us all forward, right? When we start coming together, pooling our resources, pooling our money, investing together, we can go a lot faster, right? We can go a lot further, faster. And so collective economics, what that could look like to you, for you, is that could be starting an investment club. That could be giving back to your alma mater. Hello, these schools and universities, they put so much in us. It's time for us to give them just as much as what they have put into us. I mean, I know I'm a Aggie. I'm born right here in Atlanta, Georgia, but I will go to war for my Aggie family. Do you hear me? Because there was so much nurturing, so much growth, so much investment in me, and I'll do it all day long, and so should you. So maybe it's not your alma mater for you. Maybe it's your church. Maybe it's a community organization. Maybe it's an association that you're involved in. But just find somewhere where you can participate in some collective economics and to move our communities forward, okay? So it's all about creating the shade. And so I want to leave you with Mama Oprah, okay? Mama Oprah, she always has some good words of encouragement, and it's in line with creating shade. So let's take a look at this quick 2-minute video.
You're nothing if you're not the truth. The biggest reward is not financial benefits, though it's really good. You can get a lot of great shoes. Nothing wrong with great shoes. But those of you who have a lot of shoes know that having great shoes and a closet full of shoes or cars or houses or square footage doesn't fill up your life. It doesn't. But living a life of substance can. substance through your service, your offering of your whole self. And the baseline for how do you live a life of substance is whatever is the truth for you. What do you stand for? When I had finished my school, and I was so proud of myself for building this school in South Africa, and I went to Maya and I said, Maya, that's going to be my greatest legacy, the school. And Maya said, you have no idea what your legacy will be. I go, I know that, but I really do think that the school's gonna, be my greatest legacy. And she goes, you have no idea. So I go, yes, ma'am. She said this, and I leave this with everybody in the room, graduates, friends of graduates, family. She said, your legacy is every life you've touched. Your legacy is every life you've touched. Feel everything with love, because every moment you are building your legacy.
Yes, and so we have to do just that. We have to build our legacy. Build your legacy. You're not too young, okay? You're not too old. It transcends age. You have something to give, so be generous. You can find a place to serve. If you can't find one, create it. And then participate in collective economics to build things, to invest in things, and to support things on a larger scale. So this is what we talked about today. Crawl before you ball. Listen, the crawl is the work. The crawl is the effort, the discipline of it all. You have to learn how to take control and direct your money. Use it as a tool to give you the lifestyle and the legacy that you want for your future self, okay? So I tell people all the time, money management is a life skill, right? 20% know-how, 80% action. You got to put it into action. We know so much and yet we never act on it, but that's going to change. This is far too important for this to be some foreign topic or some foreign language that's only reserved for certain people. No. That stops with me, and that can stop with you, and it can stop with the programs, the initiatives that we all pull together in order to close this financial education gap and really empower generations to come to become future millionaires and to really own and manage their money wisely. So if you are ready, if this is a movement that you want to be a part of, I would love for us to stay connected beyond this. And so for my college students, or if I have any parents on here who have college-bound students, you guys can go to this resource guide that, again, will give you a list of scholarships, sites, and resources to help you find, make, and keep more of your money while you are in college, because these are some of the years where you are making the biggest money choices. It may not look like money choices, but the careers you decide, the companies you decide to go with, the ways that you guys negotiate or don't negotiate your compensation packages, all of that is like the starting point to your growth, right? To your wealth, to the lifestyle that you'll be able to live. And so I pulled together these resources, and I can make sure that we get the link in the chat as well. But I do want to open it up for questions. So if you guys have any questions on anything that I've talked about tonight, I would love to take this time to answer them. And I actually can click on, I see some. So someone says, house prices are so crazy in the Bay Area, but in general, no one can buy a house with cash. How do we calculate the reasonable amount of mortgage debt we should have for a first and only home? Yes, so banks have they do a test. It's called a debt to income ratio. And I believe they want that debt to income ratio to be somewhere in that 40% range. And you can go on a bank's website. So if you have a financial institution that you're working with, you can go and you can call up and ask them kind of what their standards are and what are some of the things. But I know that housing prices are crazy. My sister lived out in Oakland. I'm trying to think of the exact name of the city, and I'm drawing a blank. But she lived out in the Bay Area, and they left because it was too expensive. But I don't know. Like I know, like in big cities like New York, they have these co-op programs. I don't know if that's something that's offered on the West Coast or in the Bay areas where it makes housing just a little bit more affordable and makes ownership a little bit more affordable. But hopefully that helps a little bit. All right, so here's another one. Is it smart to pay off debt first or build an emergency fund first? And so depending on who you're talking to, Chica, you might get, my thoughts are you can do both, right? I'm in the school of you can do both. So if I would say choose a debt payoff method, whether it's the snowball method or the avalanche method, you can Google those and it'll walk you through the exact steps. But choose one of those methods. And then the way that you're going to be able to do both, one, you commit to a payoff strategy, right? And then the other way to build that emergency fund, you got to pay yourself first. That's the only way it's going to happen. You got to treat that emergency fund like it is a bill. So take a summary, write down all your expenses, write down all your sources of income, make sure that your expenses are tight. So if you find any spending leaks, maybe you can start pulling from there. So if you normally spend $40 a week or on coffee, maybe you can trim that down and say, okay, I'm going to try this for a month. I'm going to give myself a limit on my coffee budget, and I'm going to take the excess, what I was normally spending, and now I'm going to apply that to my savings or apply that to my debt. But I absolutely think you can do both. All right. And so if there are any other questions, I would be happy to answer them. So I see one. Once you've established a realistic budget and an emergency fund, where should we start investing? ETFs. So disclaimer, I am not a financial advisor. I do not give financial advice because I don't know your full experience, but I will tell you what I did. And so what I did is I got with my financial advisor, and I shared with her my goals, my retirement goals. But yes, ETFs, mutual funds, these are things, again, all of this stuff is now so accessible. But I would, if you have your emergency fund and you have a 401k, that's the very first place that I started. Not telling you what to do, but I maxed out my 401k, and then I maxed out an IRA up to, I was pushed out because of the income limits. But you want to look at a 401k, an IRA, whether it's Roth or traditional, just make sure you take advantage of these tax deferred. And then once I mastered that, that's when I went into the brokerage account space and started investing some more after-tax dollars. So Black financial advisor referrals. Yes, you guys have a few in your audience. I'm going to my Instagram because I follow one, and I follow one because he is an Aggie, but I know he's out in that space. Can somebody start putting names? Jasper Smith, that's who I was thinking of. Yes. Rashid Coleman is another one. I know Jasper, but I'm sure there are plenty. There are plenty of people that people can refer you to. Okay. Any other questions? What about one in Atlanta? My financial advisor, her name is Tracy Sapp. Tracy with 2 E's on her first name? All right. Cool. Anyone in LA? So I'm gonna leave that to the people in LA. I don't know any in LA that I can think of. But what I can do, yes, Tracy, that's right. So one of the things that I can do is there's actually a site where you can go to find certified financial advisors, people who are credentialed, licensed, you know, they got the whole background check, they are valid. I know I've pulled it up before, and I can share that with Jeffrey or with I can share that with anyone, and then everybody can find one in their area. Awesome. All right. So keep the questions coming if you like. I do want to share my contact information. So if this was something that you guys want to keep in touch, you can find me across social. It's the Master Playbook, and then my website. If you have any questions that maybe you were too shy to share here, definitely send me an email. Also on LinkedIn. I would love to absolutely stay in touch. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Jeffrey.
Actually, I'm turning it off to Shani.
Okay.
All right, welcome back. Thank you so much, Holly. That presentation was absolutely amazing. So everyone, don't forget your key takeaways. Focus on your 4 main money moves. Sidestep debt, secure the bag, stack, and create the shade. Make sure you keep those at the forefront as you're making financial decisions from this point going forward. I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you to our amazing presenter for the evening, Ms. Holly Reed, and our sponsor for the evening and new NABA SF partner, Effectus Group. I would also like to say to our NABA SF board, thank you for your patience, your perseverance, your commitment, your love, your hard work, and all in the name of NABA. We are so appreciative. At this time, I'd like to share a little information about some of the events that we have coming up. First, as you all have heard so far, we are offering our NABA SF Scholarship. This is an annual offering. As a student, I am grateful to say that I was also a recipient of a NABA SF scholarship. The application period is currently open through March 31st. Jeffrey, can I please have you drop a link to the application in the chat? The requirements are a 3.0 GPA, must be a current undergrad or graduate student studying accounting or finance, must also attend a local college or high school in the Bay Area, also open to high school students. I missed that. Over the last, I think it's been about 35 years, we've awarded more than $600,000 in scholarships just in San Francisco alone. After that, we then have our Meet the Firms virtually coming up on March 25th at 6 p.m. via Zoom. The 2 firms to be featured in this first session will be Armanino and Workday. Jeffrey, can you please drop that link in the chat? Thank you. Then we have our amazing boot camp, the Center for the Advancement of Black Professionals. This is a 3-part workshop taking place in April. The first session is an interview workshop sponsored by Armanino. That will take place on April 8th at 6 p.m. via Zoom. The second is personal branding, sponsored by Airbnb. That session will take place on Tuesday, April 13th at 6 p.m. via Zoom. And the third is a resume review workshop sponsored by Kaiser. That will be held on April 22nd at 6 p.m. Jeffrey, thank you for dropping all of those links and details in the chat. And now we are excited to announce that the Youth Education Conference hosted by Life Courses is taking place on Saturday, August 17th. This conference is in partnership with NABA SF, Kaiser, EY, Bank of the West, and Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated Oakland East Bay Alumni Chapter. LIFE is a 501c3 organization committed to serving middle school students from low to moderate income families. LIFE is dedicated to the transformation of underserved families by providing them with exposure to financial education, entrepreneurship training, and global mobility to rise above their current environment. So if you think of another financial literacy session for middle school students and parents, so that will take place Saturday, April 17th, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. via Zoom. I see Jeffrey is on top of dropping the link in the chat. And then we have, coming up for the second time in a row, thanks to COVID, our virtual student conference. This year, our virtual student conference will take place on August 12th and August 13th. We have a flyer which Jeffrey will drop in the chat. We have more details coming soon, but this will be an amazing event. We took it live virtually last year, and it was extremely successful, and we expect nothing less this year. So if you're a student and you're interested in participating, please send an email to nabasanfrancisco@gmail.com. If you are part of a firm or an organization that will be interested in learning more about how you can be involved with our student conference, feel free to reach out to me directly. You can reach me at president.sanfran@nabachapters.org. Jeffrey, can you drop that in the chat for me? All right, that is it. Thank you all for staying tuned. Thank you all for hanging out with us. We really hope that you can focus in 2021. Make sure you're making all four of those money moves. So when we get back together for financial literacy in 2022, everyone can come on and share how you've secured the bag, created your shade, sidestepped your debt. Thank you again for joining us. As a reminder, this video will be available via our YouTube channel. Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.